And welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. Coming up, after some speculation, former Vice President Kamala Harris announcing that she won't be running for the governor of California next year, what she says about the decision. And a sharp rebound of the U.S. economy as President Trump announces a flurry of new trade action. What's in the latest GDP numbers and what's in a fresh new deal with South Korea that was just announced this evening. Border czar Tom Homan firing back at critics, affirming that ICE is enforcing the law that was passed by Congress. We'll hear from a former U.S. Marine about the latest on the border.
This is Capitol Report, live from our global headquarters in our nation's capital. Here's Steve Lance.
And former Vice President Kamala Harris announcing that she will not be running for governor in her home state of California next year. Releasing a statement today explaining her decision, Harris says that after deep reflection, she's decided not to run, adding that for now, her leadership and public service will not be in elected office. Harris ended by saying she'll share more details later on her future plans. And as fresh numbers show a surge in U.S. GDP, President Trump touting his tariff policies while announcing a new trade deal with South Korea this evening. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao has more.
We smashed all expectations.
As the U.S. economy surges by 3% in the second quarter, topping market estimates, President Trump calls now the dawn of America's golden age.
Consumer spending is up, business investment is way up, domestic manufacturing is way up.
The economy sharply rebounded April through June after a contraction in the first 3 months this year. While the administration calls it a win, Democrats point to a 3% drop in business investment.
It shows that already businesses are worried about growing their operations.
The president defends his policies.
Critics said that our tariffs would hurt the economy, but the data shows the exact opposite.
While continuing to urge the Federal Reserve to lower rates.
We're very strong and we should be lowering the rates.
Despite the pressure, the Fed on Wednesday decided to keep the rate steady at 4.25 to 4.5%. The Fed chair says while inflation has largely come down,
while increased tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods.
Meanwhile, the president moving quickly on trade. On Wednesday night, he announced a fresh trade deal with South Korea, which includes Korea investing $350 billion in the U.S. and buying $100 billion of U.S. energy. Korea will also open up its markets to American cars and agriculture, while also charging a 0% tariff on U.S. goods. In return, the U.S. will impose a 15% tariff on South Korea, down from the 25% tariff that was set to go into effect in just a few hours on Thursday.
All we have is billions of dollars of cash pouring into our country.
On Wednesday, Trump also announced that he's hitting India with a 25% tariff while threatening more penalties as he calls India Russia's largest buyer of energy along with China. And on China, Trump sounding confident about potential deal after new talks this week.
I think we're going to have a very fair deal with China.
As higher tariffs are set to kick back in less than 2 weeks, President Trump is expected to announce soon whether or not he will extend the current tariff truce with China. It also remains to be seen whether he will punish China in addition to India for supporting Russia's economy. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
The Trump administration launching a new health tracking system run by private tech companies. President Trump promising that it will make it easier to access health records and monitor wellness.
Patients will simply be able to grant their doctors access to their records at the push of a button. Just a button and you're all set, and all the information the doctor needs will be immediately transmitted. The system will be entirely opt-in, and there will be no centralized government-run database, which everyone is always concerned about.
The new system will focus on diabetes and weight management and controversial AI that helps patients. It will also have digital tools such as QR codes and apps that register patients for check-ins and track medications. The initiative involves more than 60 companies, including tech giants Google and Amazon, as well as prominent hospital systems like the Cleveland Clinic. The companies have committed to deliver results by early next year. Trump promises that the system will benefit millions of Americans, saving time, money, and lives. Privacy advocates are concerned, however, that making patients' data more widely accessible could also make it less secure. Also today, the president signing a bill aimed at making it easier for veterans to afford homes. It provides relief to veterans who have fallen behind on their mortgages. And one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded, an 8.8 magnitude quake near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, triggering tsunami alerts across the Pacific. NTD's Christina Corona reports on the aftermath and how beachgoers are reacting in California.
The tsunami advisory is now lifted here in Southern California, but earlier there were real concerns about dangerous waves hitting the SoCal beaches. Waves hit Hawaii, Japan, and the California coast, triggering evacuations and flood warnings. Officials say Tuesday's earthquake was the biggest in Russia in more than 70 years. In California, advisories stretched from Crescent City near the Oregon border all the way down to the Central Coast. Some areas, including Santa Barbara County, remain under watch. Waves reached up to 3.6 feet in Northern California, and in the south, small surges were recorded at Los Angeles County beaches around 2 a.m. and in Newport Beach shortly after around 2:30 a.m. According to the National Weather Service, most alerts have now been lifted, including across Ventura, Los Angeles, Orange, and San Diego counties. One Long Beach resident said she was worried when she heard about the initial tsunami warning.
I was scared. I was like, we live with so many beaches close by, so I was like, is it gonna hit to us? Like, at first it was like fire, now it's tsunami, so like what's happening?
But several beachgoers say they were unfazed by the tsunami warning, with many enjoying the beach day.
It's a non-event. I don't see anyone changing their behavior, anything. Maybe some of the surfers were looking for a bigger wave. They said, hey, this is great.
One longtime Seal Beach resident said he stayed calm and stuck to his normal routine.
I just looked to see where the earthquake was and realized that it's probably not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing what I do every day for the last 5 or 7 years or so, and it didn't change what I did this morning anyway, in any way.
Following the quake, Hawaii initially issued a tsunami warning and evacuations, but by Wednesday morning, the warning was downgraded and orders were lifted on the Big Island and Oahu. A tsunami advisory is still in place. Officials reported minor flooding near a hotel on the Big Island, but no major damage. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the threat of a major tsunami along the U.S. coast has now passed completely. Well, things seem to be getting back to normal here in Seal Beach, with lots of people out walking and fishing on the pier, and many are back out in the water, surfing like it's any other summer day. Reporting from the city of Seal Beach, Christina Corona, NTD News.
White House border czar Tom Homan saying ICE is carrying out the laws put in place by Congress, and that people who don't like it should take it up with their representatives. Senator John Fetterman, meantime, praising ICE on a recent nab of over 200 child sex offenders. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more.
We're not making this up. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress.
Border czar Tom Homan responds to ongoing protests against ICE officers. He says if they want change, they're protesting the wrong people.
You see all these people protesting ICE. Why aren't they protesting the Hill? If they don't like what ICE doing, protest the people who wrote the bill.
Homan has some harsh words for critics on Capitol Hill.
I see members of Congress comparing us to racists and members of terrorist organizations. If we're terrorists for enforcing immigration law, what's that make them? They wrote the law. We're enforcing laws enacted by Congress, and we're going to do it.
While outside of the White House, Homan gave some stats on recent arrests.
And here's what data told me this morning. 70% of everybody arrested is a criminal.
He says the other 30% include national security threats.
For instance, over 300 Iranian nationals. Who else is that 30%? People with final orders of deportation. People who had due process at great taxpayer expense were ordered removed by an immigration judge. Our job is to remove them. There's also gang members.
Homan also says illegal immigrants are hindering things for aspiring legal immigrants.
While we're arguing about this, there are millions of people standing in line, taking their tests, doing a background investigation, paying their fees, sitting in the back seat, while millions of people in the Biden administration cheated the system. Based on immigration court data, nearly 9 out of 10 of those so-called asylum seekers end up with an order of removal. Because there are thousands of people in this world that really do need our protection. They're sitting in the back seat, while millions of asylum cheaters cross the border in Joe Biden.
Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman says he doesn't agree with all of ICE's actions and tactics. However, he praises ICE for arresting over 200 illegal immigrant child sex offenders in Houston over the span of 6 months. Fetterman writes on X, "This makes our nation more secure and all our children safer." President Donald Trump praises ICE on Truth Social and says that ICE is recruiting. Trump writes, "Our brave ICE law enforcement agents are getting the worst of the worst criminals out of our country. We need more courageous men and women to make America safe again. Join ICE now. We will take great care of you just like you take care of us." Reporting in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
And ICE agents in the Houston office arresting 214 illegal immigrants who have been charged or convicted of a sex crime against a minor in the last 6 months. That's 3 more than what the same office arrested during the entire 2024 fiscal year. Joining me now to discuss these latest developments is David Scarlett. He's a former U.S. Marine, pastor, and maker of the documentary Battle at the Border. It's great to have you with us. I want to get your thoughts. ICE arresting these more than 200 illegal immigrants in Houston accused of sex crimes. That's within the first 6 months of the Trump administration. Before we get to the questions, I just want to play you a quick soundbite from Border czar Tom Homan. Here it is.
They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress, and they see the incredible results of this. I mean, crime rates are down, murder rates are down, burglaries are down, assaults are down, and we're removing sexual predators, mostly child predators, and again, everybody should be on the same side.
David, you're based in Texas. What's it like down there in terms of immigration enforcement, and how do you think things have changed under the Trump administration?
Well, Tom Homan and under President Trump's leadership is doing a really good job, not only in Texas, but I'm right now in Ohio. This not only impacts border states, this impacts all 50 states because these illegals have come in. They've been smuggled to all 50 states. So this is not just a border security for the states. This is for every state. And there's a lot more to do, but have come a long way. And you're talking about this in Houston. It's just the tip of the iceberg of these the worst of the worst coming into our country. And if you can't stand up for children, I don't know what you can stand up for.
In your film, Battle in the Border, you spent quite a bit of time with law enforcement officers at the border. You know, some folks that don't necessarily agree with the president's stance think that a lot of this is fear-mongering and not actual criminals that are being taken away, or maybe not in the numbers that the administration is saying. Talk to us a little bit about your film and what you actually witnessed in the process of filming it.
Yeah, we've done 2 films. We did one in Texas, and the latest one is Battle at the Border, which is in Arizona. I spent a whole day with Sheriff Lamb. I spent a time with Sheriff Daniels' team. We were there 7 whole days. So we saw it, not what the media is telling you what's happening. We saw it, captured it, real life. You see what Tom Homan said, the worst of the worst are coming in. We saw military-age men with no children, no wives coming in. That's a concern. Middle Eastern. From Mexico, from gangs. We see fentanyl pouring through the border. The fentanyl is so strong that in some cases the Border Patrol and the Sheriff Department had to have hazmat suits on because that's how strong the fentanyl is. What the biggest concern to me is your report, the children. You know, these cartel are drugging these children lifeless and bringing them across the border so they don't make a sound. And it's just horrific of what they're doing to the children. And then they get in the country. We don't know where they go. Remember, Tom Homan said we had 300,000 lost children because they got moved throughout the United States of America in all 50 states.
To that point, the focus has seemed to shift since cutting off the flow of illegal immigration into the country. The Trump administration is focused on trying to locate and rescue a lot of these missing migrant children. As we know, many of these kids may have ended up in the hands of predators and human traffickers. How has this situation been addressed, and how much work is there to go to try to find these kids?
Well, to create the process or the problem, as soon as Biden took office, they eliminated the DNA. So under President Trump's first administration, they had DNA to match up that these children indeed belonged to these adults that were coming across. What we witnessed is that only about 60% of the people, kids coming across the border, actually were people that they were supposed to be. That means 40% were not related whatsoever. And that was another reason why the cartel or the coyotes would drug them up so they wouldn't scream and tell them, this is not my mother, this is not my father. Under Tom Homan, it's gotten tremendously better, but we still have these missing children, and everybody should be concerned about what happened to these children. And we got to find these children, and we got to stand up for children.
David Scarlett, really appreciate you joining us to share your insights. Coming up, Texas Democratic state congressman threatening to flee the state to paralyze the Republicans' planned redistricting. NTD's Luis Martinez will join us in studio coming up. And what can Americans do to take back control of their own data? And how is the big tech lobby in Washington impeding data privacy efforts? Joel Thayer, president of the Digital Progress Institute, will join us with his analysis. That and more when we return.